Hey guys, we're back. We're still on the topic of talking about the TCGs, and tonight from Dolly's.
Hello.
And Dolly's is one of the top stores in Canada when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh. And we want to talk about just like before we were talking about Pokemon. We want to focus right now on Yu-Gi-Oh. So once again, a lot of the sport guys may not be as either knowledgeable about a lot of TCGs, and it's easily to get confused with a lot of different games. But Yu-Gi-Oh definitely has its history as well too. Right now, with their this year was 25th anniversary. We see a lot of the products that are coming out and everything. So for Yu-Gi-Oh, can you explain to a lot of people kind of what has been the kind of the phenomenon of Yu-Gi-Oh and how it's had this 25 years of staying power?
So it's been around for 25 years, as obviously we're celebrating the 25 years of Yu-Gi-Oh. How it came to was originally it was an anime or a TV show. Through that, a lot of people wanted to start picking up cards because it was a show about a card game. With that, a lot of people started collecting it, playing it, and because of that, that's why it's lasted so long. Similar to Pokemon, you are able to both collect the cards as well as play with the cards that you're collecting with. Because of that, they also reprint cards in a lower value so that you can just play with it, but they also have very collectible versions of those cards.
Okay, so going back to the collectability, there's it seems like there's a lot of stuff for the collectors, a lot of high-end cards I've seen, and then there's always the side for competitive play.
Yes.
So how is it kind of Yu-Gi-Oh kind of balance between the two to kind of keep both sides interested?
So how they do that is again by reprinting cards. So obviously there are cards that are extremely collectible, but you don't always want to play with those collectible cards because the moment something's damaged, it's no longer a PSA 10, a Beckett 10, so to kind of prevent that, they reprint the cards in lower rarities, so it's more accessible to people to not only enjoy playing with it, but some of the slightly lower rarities can also be collected and played with without fear of damage.
Right.
Yes. On top of that, it's again the community is great for the game, which is how people also get involved in it. So that's also again on the first question how it has so much staying power.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It seems like in the last, would you say about maybe 2 to 3 years, there's been a huge resurgence. I find in people. If I've heard of people, I'm coming back to the game.
Yes.
Or people's just overall the popularity kind of just came back. Of course, there's been the whole COVID thing, which kind of affected all
that was
all collectibles.
Yes.
but I really found in particular in Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of people came back in both playing and collecting. So what do you think happened there that created this resurgence?
So within these past few years, I would say it's a few things. First and foremost is definitely social media. Again, it's a lot more accessible to just see cards, see information about the cards, ways to play, different things of collecting. So social media, like Logan Paul did it for Pokemon, and that just helped a lot of different cards. And then the other thing I would say on top of that would be the installation of the new online game that they made, which is Master Duel. With that, a lot more people who used to play the game were able to get back into it free of cost initially, and then if they want to get into the physical aspect, they have that available. And then thirdly would be, again, the 25-year anniversary. They actually reprinted the first 5 sets of Yu-Gi-Oh! That helped people, I guess, fill in their nostalgia factor. So it's those who are all oh, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! At this time are now able to be oh, I can pick up these cards again, and they're much more affordable. Yes.
I also found that even in content, there's so much, I think maybe part of the resurgence, or maybe they were fans before, but there's so many streamers. And
again, the social media.
It's I didn't know so-and-so are playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And you see all this collaborations and content of people facing off each other in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I know one of the biggest one recently was there's a famous Yu-Gi tuber by the name of Team Samurai X1, and he did a collaboration with a popular Twitch streamer in Saikuno. So
former Twitch streamer.
Yes. And that was also one of those collabs that came out of nowhere, but it also social media again huge for the game.
So where would if we were to talk to a lot of our sport card collectors and understanding so we were talking about before in the prior podcast, we're talking about that even the most basic thing of sports card collectors is like, all I know is buy rare Charizards. You know, that kind of thing. They're
The basics,
understanding.
yes.
Yeah. So what are the things in Yu-Gi-Oh that say people who want to dabble into collecting Yu-Gi-Oh or collecting with their kids and everything?
Yeah.
What are the type of stuff or people like should either like pay attention to in terms of either playing or investing or collecting? What are the things that people should gravitate to?
One of the biggest ones is, I'd like to say, Exodia. Yeah, so a lot of people in the very first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh were introduced to Exodia, and a lot of people, when they play other card games, they have like a quote where they say, oh, that's an Exodia type of effect, where it just automatically wins you the game. Something like that is just like amazing because it's from Yu-Gi-Oh, but other card games have like a similar version of it, you could say.
Right.
So again, collect all 5 pieces, you win the game. It's just something simple and cool. Besides that, there is something Charizard-esque in terms of like the Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician. I'd say they're like the Blue Eyes and the Pikachu of like Yu-Gi-Oh, or the Charizard and the Pikachu of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
Yes,
So
yes.
those things that are easily like recognizable, and people are like, no matter what rarity or version comes up, people
they will gravitate towards it. Yes.
And buy that stuff. Yeah.
On top of that, for the Dark Magician, there is like the female version of the Dark Magician girl, which a lot of people also have like attachments to as well. Yeah.
Anything just because it was more iconic female character card.
More or less, because
right?
it's like they're a duo of like student teacher.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, if what would you say in terms of like when people say, well, look at more, not has to make it about money, but an investment standpoint. If say like I want to put some money into a particular Yu-Gi-Oh card. Like some people talk about like in the past is like look for certain rarities, look for vintage. What would you say is like if someone's like, you know what, it's something I want to invest my money into. Hopefully in a few years, this is something that'll be like something decent. What would you kind of like? What are those go-tos? So
it depends on what kind of collector, because obviously it depends on your budget, right?
Right.
In terms of more recent stuff, I'd say personally I like the collector rares a lot. They may be in high circulation, but they are very, very collectible. Again, in terms of the name and also just the type of rarity that it is. For older stuff, a lot of the video game promos are actually very expensive and very hard to come by.
Like the original Egyptian god cards everyone knows?
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are also like big things. And then obviously just the original Legend of Blue Eyes, the Blue Eyes White Dragon from there. The secret rares of like the Guy the Dragon Champion, Trihorn Dragon. Those are all collectible. On top of that, to keep an eye out for the first edition stamp.
Right.
Yes, that on its own is like a make or break on a card.
Right.
Yes, from like $100 to like $1,000, just one small stamp.
Awesome. Yeah. So, knowing that, it's like, what do you see the future of what it holds for Yu-Gi-Oh? What do you kind of foresee the trajectory of where, as a game, and then also as just like as a phenomenon, so to speak, within the TCG collecting community?
So in the collectible community, I think it's always safe to hop in. They're always coming in with new rarities, and the old ones are never obsolete. The thing is, even just recently with the 25th anniversary, there is like 6 different rarities, but there is something called like the quarter century rare. That is something that will never be introduced again because there's only one 25th year anniversary, right? So all those quarter century rares will be valuable 10, 15, 20 years down the line. In terms of the game is super healthy. Again, there's events like monthly, like large events, like regionals.
Right,
nationals once a year, but there's one for each region. So like North America, Europe, Asia. And then obviously the Worlds event, which attracts a bunch of people. Konami always has like a World Celebrations for like local stores like us to host, also in conjunction with the Worlds events happening. So they're doing a lot to support the game. The game's just been extremely healthy, growing every year, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of stores like yourself, tell people about Dolly's.
Hi.
Where we can find you guys.
I'm from Dolly's Toys and Games. Our main location's in Scarborough. It's at Brimley and Finch, 137 Montezuma Trail. We just opened a new store in St. Catharines as well.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. And then we do have a sports dedicated location in downtown Toronto, Queen and Spadina, 222 Spadina Street. So, yeah, give us a like, stop by.
Cool. And they have, if you guys are coming tomorrow or Sunday, they have a massive booth, as they do every year in the Expo.
That's okay.
Yeah. So look, check it out. They got plenty of wax. But their stores, if you want to look at their singles, that's what they kind of specialize in. Especially for, I think it's the great thing about Dollars, it's really catered to the players. And
Yes.
anything that people who want to put decks together and learn the game, that's what you guys, I think you guys are great.
Yeah, we always have someone on staff ready to help, ready to teach people. As well as we host events every week, multiple events for some of the card games as well. So give a check out on our calendar online, dollys.ca. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Stein, for
joining us.
Thank
you for having me.
All right, and we'll see you on the next broadcast.
Bye.